It's Rut and River.
Yes.
Correct.
R-U-T.
I rest my beard hair on it.
And then you know you're there.
Like a nice, gentle little pillow for my beard.
Right.
And then I'm all up in it.
Oh.
I'm like Kobe beef for sharks.
Can I ask you, what made you guys call me up about, well, this?
It's what tickles our fancy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be rockier.
John Denver is not accurate.
Man.
A guy like you, who has absolutely no clue, and I can hear it in your voice, that, I mean, you're a blank canvas. I mean, I can just start with you like from scratch.
You're going to tell me, a grown man, you're telling me what lure to use and how to fish?
You guys didn't snap your whopper plopper off either, though.
Sorry,
I blew up over that.
And we are back. You are listening to the Rut and River Pursuit podcast. We are sitting around a Sonic Campfire tonight. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. This is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you in the outdoors by connecting you with the people, skills, and products that you can trust.
You can trust them.
You know it, boys. I'm Ryan. Who do I got with me tonight?
I'm Kyle.
I'm Will.
And it's Bucky.
I'll tell you about our sponsor. This month's sponsor is our good friend at Dust to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service, Captain Mark Spagnola.
Ooh, good old Captain Mark.
The one and only. Both Dust to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service are operated out of the eastern shore of Maryland, as well as the Chesapeake Bay area. In the summer months, you can bow fish for species the likes of stingrays, gar, and snakeheads. While in the winter, Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service can put you on sea ducks of all makes and models.
Little fighter pilots just flying in an inch off the water.
Yep.
There's little speedy little buggers.
You and Stevie love them. Spend a lot of ammo on them. You can learn and book these epic outdoor experiences at dusttodawnbowfishing.com or marylandwaterfowl.com.
Noise. Get you some.
And tell Captain Mark the Rut and River boys said hello.
What's going on, boys?
What is not going on?
I'll tell you what, we're kicking off Big Fish Month. What are we calling this? Monster Fish Month? Like
Big Fish
Predatory
Month.
Fish Month?
Predator, just
all things
big
predator.
fish.
big fish.
Huge fish. And you know what?
Monsters.
I say, I got
Yes,
a little treat
Bucky,
for you
monsters.
boys. We're gonna go like LL Cool J with this thing right now. Oh yeah.
In what way?
We're going back to Cali.
Going back to Cali.
That's right.
To Cali.
Straight from California. I got one of Cali's biggest bass hunters
Straight out of like
on the line.
Compton or what?
Well, think a little bit further north than that. Add a couple of latitudes to your longitude
San
there,
Francisco?
I don't know
Is
for
it a
sure.
San Francisco
You got
treatment?
one of the 49ers.
Just you take it easy, boys.
I can't.
Because
come
here's
on.
the other thing.
Lau Alzado?
We're going to circle it right back around and bring it pretty close to home, too, because he's also an admin on Swimbait Universe.
Oh,
That's right. So tonight we're going to be talking with Mr. Boone Jancik. Boone, you there, bud?
I'm here.
How you
Thanks
doing?
for having me on.
What's happening?
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. So, Boone, you're in California, and as these guys were grilling me, I guess they really need to know the location. Where are you at out there?
It's a little bit northern of San Francisco, and no 49ers are rocking around here. But I'm up here in Redding, so about 2.5 hours north of Sacramento, and it's, I don't know, about an hour and a half south of Oregon border.
Oh, wow.
Right up here in the valley.
You're up there.
Yeah, if you guys know where Shasta Lake is, I'm right at Shasta Lake.
That's where they make the soda.
Yeah, the colas come right from the lake.
That's what they tell me.
It's the breeding water.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what, there definitely appears to be some pretty big fish swimming around those lakes that you're hitting up, because looking at your Instagram, and we'll send people there just so you guys can play along while you're listening. Go check out Boone's Instagram account. It's NorCal Bass Hunter. And I'm telling you, you're going to see what Northern California's got to offer, which is, I'll be honest with you, I knew they had some fish out there, but dang, Boone.
Yep.
Just putting in the work, just trying to grind. That's the name of the game when it comes to throwing big baits.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I would love to hear some of your stick-to-itiveness and your forte when it comes to pitching big baits. I mean, we talked to Will and
Wayne.
Yeah. and from the Swimbait Universes, and they said that they'll pitch lures for a month before they catch a big fish. Before they're getting the fish they're looking for.
It's funny, not to cut you off, but it actually happened just yesterday. So I went out with a local guy here in Redding, a buddy of mine. We went out to Shasta Lake, and if you guys don't know, Shasta Lake is a pretty dominant spotted bass fishery. There's largemouth in it, but it is overpopulated by spotted bass. And so spotted bass react to baits differently, like sizes and colors and action, speed on the bait and stuff. But he's kind of a conventional guy that kind of messes around a little bit with big baits. He's trying to get into it, but he's not fully committed.
Sure.
And so he wanted to take me out. So we went out yesterday, and
what's he pitching? Just
his normal. He'll throw like a spook or Ned rig, Cinco. Normal. But then he'll throw when it comes to the bigger baits. He's got a few of the S-Waver 200s, the S-Waver 168. I seen he's got his Huddleston. He kind of didn't want to pull it out. It was a little too big for his confidence, but he's got a few of the mid-range,
I wish Stevie was here because he was waving his Huddleston around the other way.
Yeah, he's always waving that.
You can't beat a Huddleston. I mean, the look of that thing and the way that it swims.
I have Huddleston envy.
I bet. But typically he's just, normal bass guy. It sounds like.
Yes. Yeah. Spinnerbait, crankbait. Like he was just talking about, he was out last week with a crankbait and was catching them and everything else. And so we go out, and I kind of made a joke about swim baits, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry. Everything on my deck is all swim baits." And I was like, you don't got to throw those just because I'm coming out with you. You know what I mean? Throw what you have confidence in, and throw what you're going to, try and catch fish with. But he gave it a good shot, but he soon pulled out the fairy wands, and unfortunately for us, he couldn't even get a bite on a fairy wand. So kept throwing depths 250 just to see if I can get something at least to follow up.
Sure. So, and did you show him a big fish?
I didn't, because I didn't get nothing. We got skunked yesterday.
Ooh,
gotcha.
Hate days like that. That's how most of my days
it was a rough one. On top of it being like 104 degrees, baking out in the sun on the lake after work, it was a rough kick right there.
It sounds like that's the life of a swim bait guy, like a big swim bait guy. Is that you're not really going out for just any fish,
right? You're not putting numbers on the boat, but when you put one on the boat, you're getting numbers.
You're getting
yeah, exactly.
LBs.
Are we doing math again?
No, Bucky.
All right. Just checking.
There's no
I'm not good with numbers. Let's not do this. No, but yeah, I mean, typically when I head out of the house with everything ready to go, whether I'm going fishing on the lake or pond or anywhere, I have the mindset of I may only catch one today, but if I do catch one, it'll at least be a decent one, that I'll be happy about, something worthy. And
what's going to
then again, there's a lot of times to go out and you catch 6, 7, 8, 10. I mean, I don't know if you guys know what the MS Slammer is.
No, I don't. Nope. Go on.
Oh, you guys, I know you guys are kind of conventional, but if you get it's a top water bait, just a wake bait, and it's a wooden bait. And you just toss this thing out and kind of twitch it on top, kind of like you were walking a spook,
sure,
okay,
or a top water bait. And man, they crush it. But I've had days where I got 20 fish in 6 hours on it, and my buddy at the same time in the same boat got 20 fish on his. And so you do get random days of that, but yeah, your whole mindset is one fish, and you're looking for the biggest fish in the water that you're fishing, whether it's a pond or a lake or river.
What size of bass is gonna really kind of trip your trigger? What are you gonna look for what will make you happy on that day that you catch it?
In general, if I catch one over 5, that makes the trip really worth it. At least where it's like, all right, I did find a decent size fish. 3-pounders though, the fight that you get out of those compared to a 5, they fight more. So they're a lot of fun. But on any given day, really, if I go out and I tell a lot of people this, if I go out and I catch a 2.5 pounder and I trick them to eat a 9-inch bait, when I come home, I'm happy because at the end of the day, I tricked a little fish to really try and overeat on itself, you know, and I made that fish react. So I'm kind of content about anything as long as I catch one. Right. I hate having skunks like the rest of us, but yeah, I mean, something over 5 or 6, that's when it really starts to get the happy button going.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome.
How'd this all start for you, Boone?
I grew up bass fishing, and I grew up trout fishing, and it's just kind of been one of those things that I never really thought was my hobby or whatever. It was just like, oh, we're going fishing. Hey, let's go fishing. And then a little bit after high school, it's turned a little more towards fishing. And when I started seeing some of these big baits, and I was working with a guy, and I went out with him, and this is what really kicked it off for me, is I went out and I seen him. I didn't see what he was throwing, but I heard this big splash, and I looked over and I was like, whoa, what was that? And I'm just watching him because I'm kind of like, I thought a fish hit his, so I was waiting to see a fish. And about 20 feet off the boat, I remember thinking to myself, look at that trout swimming. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, this guy, oh, okay, here we go. And what it was a 8-inch floating Huddleston. And he knew that there was a tree down there, and he actually ended up catching a 4-pounder on that cast.
Really?
Right after I thought about that. Yeah. And it's funny, another one came up and hit it, and I was throwing Cincos at the time because I wasn't in the big bait game. Mm-hmm. And I was so in awe of that. He's like, throw it right back in there. And you should have seen how far away from that I threw that worm. I did not get it anywhere close because I was just in awe of what was going on there. But yeah, I've just been fishing my whole life, and I'm not one of those guys that is a tournament guy that catches a million fish or any of that, but I've just caught enough bass in my life that it's kind of boring to throw a worm or spinner bait or something. I like that chase of, like I said, making a 2-pounder, eat a 7, 9-inch, 10-inch bait, and it's kind of a fun little game you play, I guess.
And didn't the big swim bait craze, whatever you want to call it, didn't that start out in California?
It did. It was kind of in the tournament days, but it wasn't something that was talked about. Some of these guys were taking, as far as I remember, and talking to a few guys, some of the first initial ones from locally up here, they were taking saltwater lures and then modifying them for tournament use. But the big ones that started coming out, it was a lot of guys that were tournament fishing down south, and they tried to keep everything on the hush-hush because they were catching big fish for the tournaments and winning. And then it finally got out what was going on. And from there, it just kind of took off as a fan craze, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see why. I mean, because you're boating in consistently larger fish. Even out here this year, Will was throwing a particular soft plastic that is bigger, probably twice the length of most soft plastics, and he was consistently catching bigger fish, and just not in one lake, in multiple lakes in different states. Mm-hmm. So I could buy that for $1, and
yeah,
definitely
$3.50.
And we're talking about baits right now, and you've already mentioned, I've heard a Huddleston, I've heard an MS Slammer. Now these are different kinds of baits, right? Like this MS Slammer, from what I'm looking at, is a hard bait.
That's from Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a full wood bait.
Okay, and it's jointed, and they die.
He has the single. There's a single joint, and then there's like a double joint. So there's a 3-piece that he also makes. It's a great bait too. It kind of has more of a swim, like a full-on snake S kind of a swim to describe it. Where is that 2-piece that you're looking at? It's more of the tail. The nose kind of digs the water, and then that tail just kind of clacks back and forth on top. And that sound that it makes is what drives those bass nuts.
So is that MS named? Is that a
Mike Shaw?
Okay, I didn't know if it had a Missouri tie or something like that.
Get away from that. Yeah, Mike Shaw. I believe he's I don't know exactly where, but in Utah, he makes them. And the funny thing about his is I'm 100% sure, I guess we can try and quote me on this, but he made these for lake trout, and it was all about catching giant lake trout. And he still does it to this day. if you look up Mike Shaw, he's posting pictures within the past like 3 weeks where they just went out and they hammered some big old ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's funny how it comes over from what he originated for lake trout, but it drives the bass nuts. And it's in my opinion, it's one of the best topwater lures, big bait lures that you can get for bass. And it's the easy one to throw, and it just works.
Gotcha. Now tell me about these Huddlestons.
Huddleston is a soft rubber bait. They come in a weedless. They got multiple sizes. Huddleston has come over throughout the years. But generally the main ones that a lot of guys use, especially on Swimbait Universe, either what we call a 68. He calls them 68, and it's a 6-inch body. But it's got an 8-inch tail. So he has an 8-inch version, and they take that tail, and instead of scaling down the tail for the 6-inch, they just take that big tail and put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I've seen that.
So the funny backstory to that is I actually know a guy, one of my good buddies up here, who was one of the original guys that was doing that in tournaments, and he was in close contact at that time with Ken. And he started making these 68s on his own, as well as a few other guys. He wasn't like the only one or whatnot, but yeah. And he's like, man, back in the day when fish didn't see it all the time, he said it was just nonstop bigs. But nowadays they see a lot of it. But
yeah, it's just like a big heavy paddle tail on that, right?
Big heavy paddle tail.
Yeah, it's more of a. They actually call that one a wedge tail, kind of a tail on it, and it's got a real tight kick to it. So a lot of times with the Huddlestons, the best retrieve pretty much across the board. There's a bunch, but most general one is you just fire that thing off. Say you're fishing a point, you let it get down to the bottom, and then it kind of treat it like a jig, and you just chunk it over every little rock, just slow and slow. And then all you feel is kind of like the jig is just a thump, and that fish just inhaled it. Huh. So you just reel down and set on it. But it's one of those that you can still fish in any water column. But generally, you want to throw it as like it's a dying trout sitting on the bottom.
Not doing so hot.
Yeah. Easy meal. Big fish don't like to have to work for their meal.
That's cool.
Now, are like there spinner baits in the swim bait, like with big old airplane propellers or anything like that? Or what other kinds of baits are there? Because
nowadays there is so many baits. It's outrageous, to be honest. You got hard baits and soft baits and a multitude of different ones. There's like some of your better, more known hard baits. Like I said, you got the slammer. The triple trout is a good one. It's kind of a thin profile, but it looks just like a trout. Generally they're 3-piece. And they got different couple sizes, but it swims kind of that snake S real tight. And Mike Bucca, or Buka, sorry if I messed that up, Mike. But his bait, bull shad. I'm sure hopefully you guys have heard of a bull shad.
Yeah.
With Wayne and them being up there. Bull shad's a killer bait. He's got a bunch of different sizes, but his is a hard bait that swims kind of like that too. Then you got glide baits, like your S-Waver 200 or your Depths 250. There's a ton of different ones, Phony Frog, and
Weston.
the list goes on with that too.
Weston makes some glide baits.
What's that?
Weston? Do they make some bigger glide baits?
I'm not familiar with that, to be honest.
That's what I think that was. Remember that big thing I pulled out?
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to fish this thing, but I threw it in the water close to the boat and brought it back, and it just glides.
It wobbles like 3-foot drifts.
It's crazy.
Yeah. See, generally the glide baits are a 2-piece. So kind of like that slammer, I was just a single joint in the middle.
Okay.
And when you do kind of a half crank, and that thing will just push and glide out, however far, whether it be a foot, 6 inches, 2 feet, depending on which bait, because they all kind of vary.
This thing that I was using was just more like it looked like a lipless crankbait, but it was super wide at the head. So it just pushes the water, and then it just glides off one side, then the other. But it was huge.
That's huge.
And I had success on the first cast.
You caught a pike with it.
Yeah, there's a ton of baits out there. I mean, depending on, because glide bait's a whole nother category. To me, I always put topwater, wake baits is like its a whole nother section too. Those are my favorite, to be honest. That's probably guilty of it, but I throw a topwater bait probably 75% of my time, at least.
But Boone, with all these different baits and all these different styles, it kind of seems a little bit overwhelming. I want to circle back to how you originally got started. So you went on that trip with that guy that was throwing the big baits, and then where did you go from there? Did you just, go out and buy everything you needed, or
6-inch Kitech?
Kitech's kill, by the way. I can't put down a Kitech. From that, I actually just started picking his brain, and this guy I work with, his name's Rob. He's an awesome dude. Really good stick. He made it really hard for me to get some information. So I started picking his brain. Hey man, where can I go? Well, he actually set me up with one of his really good buddies, and that guy sold me my first swim bait stick, which was an Akuma Guide Select. Love that rod. It's a pretty good intro rod. It's kind of a broomstick at first, but once it breaks in, it's great. Yeah. But he also sold me a couple baits, and so I just started from there. And then I kind of went a little heavy at first. Every paycheck, I'd pick up a Huddleston, or I'd pick up this, that, and the other. And then after a couple months, I was like, okay, I need to slow down and actually fish all of these and learn how they all work. But it can be a suck factory where it'll just pull you right in before you even know it, and you're like, oh no, look at what I got.
I hear that. and that's the other thing too. It's kind of funny when we were talking with Wayne and Will, and they're saying how much some of these lures cost, and I'm not okay pitching that much money away from me.
Nope.
Right. Some of these, I mean, especially if you call it the hype train, if they're on the hype train, I mean, you could buy the lure, say, for $100, but if it's kind of a supply and demand is all it really is. Whew. Some people charge you $200, $250 for it. And there's people that'll pay for it. And, I'm not in everyone's finances. Go ahead and spend the money if you want to. I'll just wait until it comes available again, but that's just me.
Yeah. Is there a time that I should use a hard bait compared to a soft bait, and vice versa? When do I use these, or do you just not, and you can throw them whenever?
So it kind of depends on like what time of day you're going out and the weather. To me, I don't look at the moon phase as much. I kind of look at pressures, but generally, if you're going morning or night, the evening time, just like normal bass fishing, topwater. That's just kind of a go-to. So generally, most of them are hard baits for the topwater.
Right. Gotcha.
So I'd keep it hard bait that way. I don't throw, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't throw the soft baits probably as much as I should. I have a thing with hard baits because there's so many different variations of the hard bait, whether it be a glide or it be a swimmer, I generally throw hard baits more. So when the sun's up and it's super hot, that's when I'll throw a soft bait down low, especially if I'm on a clear lake. Cause I don't know if you guys got really clear water out there or if it's stained.
It's pretty well stained. Yeah. Most of the stuff out here.
Yeah. If I fish any of the ponds around here, then you can kind of get away with some stuff with having super realistic looking profile and paint wise, to kind of trick that fish. But I throw soft baits generally when the sun's up, it's hot, and those fish are pushing either in the weeds or they're pushing really deep. But if I know these fish are up shallow, I throw a hard bait. I'm a power fisherman. So I just constantly keep moving. I want to find that one active fish and go. I know a lot of guys will sit and kind of milk a spot where you could cycle through a hard bait and then throw a soft in there and work the bottom. And if I know that there's a fish or I had a big follower, I'll leave for 20 minutes and come back, and then I'll soak that spot, and then I'll pull out the soft bait too. But I don't think in my opinion, there's really a certain time you use a hard bait over a soft bait.
I think when we leave a hole, we usually like go back and Stevie's there. So
yeah, that's how it works for us.
Unfortunately, move it, you lose it.
Yeah,
kind of situation. I have another.
Well, it's similar when if you'd pick up rather a spinnerbait over a worm. You know, that's kind of where you just translate it over into big baits. So you want to throw a big soft bait and pitch it up into the weeds, or do you want to throw, say, a hard bait and burn it across the top of that brush?
Right. That makes sense. So we were up in New York in what I like to call the land of the giants.
Yes.
And they're just bigger up there than what we have around here. And, but one thing I found was we had to wade through, and this is not a thing for us. I mean, we actually were targeting the northern pikes. We had to wade through some of those fish to get to the bass. Do you have in Northern California? Are you just are lucky enough to have the bass populations that you need, or is there other fish comparable that will eat these things too?
So in the rivers, we got striper. In our lakes, we don't have any northerns around here. We don't have any toothy critters, like heavy toothy critters to deal with, which thank God. Because like you guys say, throwing $200 out in front of you and you got something that can bite that thing off.
Yeah.
But we got squawfish. They're also called pike minnows. They're more or less a trash fish, honestly. They're pretty useless, and they're more aggressive than, say, a bass in a certain sense. And they will overtake, like during the spawn, they will just raid beds all day long. So they kind of decimate the bass population in a way. But we do have those in a lot of waters out here. And when you catch one of those, generally they're a lot bigger. They're kind of like a northern pike, but without the giant teeth, really.
Yeah, maybe like our pickerel or something. Huh?
Yeah. They get up to 8, 9, 10, 20 pounds. Oh, wow. On some of our lakes and stuff. Yeah.
They're jerkfish. You should call them jerkfish.
Jerkfish, yeah.
Yeah, we call them heartbreakers or trash fish, because you'll throw something up. I caught one. I haven't caught one in a while, but the last one I caught, I was throwing a soft bait up first thing in the morning. It was real windy, and all of a sudden it went thump, just like a bass. I set in, and I'm like, ooh, and I looked at my buddy and I said, get the net, because I'm thinking that I just caught myself a good probably 8, 9 pounders the way this thing was pulling. Right. And as soon as I get near the boat, I went, oh no. And I was like, Heartbreak City. And that's going right out here. Anyone catch one, it's usually a good one on a swim bait, and you think you got something good, and then it's trash fish. You're like, oh man, dang squawfish.
Maybe that's what broke you off at Lake Meadbuck.
Maybe.
You never know. Little squaw, trash fish.
Darn squaws.
Jerkfish.
Because the northerns, I've never caught one, but everything I've seen, they seem like they fight for a while. They got a lot of life in them, and they fight hard.
I can't deny that.
They're fighters.
We love that. We don't have them around here. They have them in northern PA, northwest, and they have them in eastern PA. We just do not have them in south central PA, and it's rare that you get into one or two. And
you get on the river out here, we can get into muskie, but they call it a fish of 10,000 casts or something like that when you're targeting them. So it's pretty rare.
But
muskie, that's another one on the big bait list I want to go out and search for. But like you said, 10,000 casts to find one.
Yeah, old Wayne, he finds them, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, Wayne can find anything. That guy's mastered.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's got some big pictures of muskie. Some guys have all
usually it seems like they're wading out catching them too.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Yep.
That's awesome.
Do you do any of that wading
waist
stuff?
deep in the water with a monster like that?
It's unnerving. Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking. You got something running around with a mouthful of teeth, not knowing even how many more are around you.
And they're aggressive too. Freshwater barracuda.
Gentle giants, I like to call them.
I wear a cup whenever I go.
Just in case.
That's safe precautions right there.
A thick cod piece, if you will.
It's for cod.
For cod, yes.
Yeah.
Boone, I have a question for you that I see a lot where guys are actually getting baits custom paint jobs on them. What are your thoughts on
tricking?
Pimping out their baits. What are your thoughts on that? Is it worth it? Is it kind of more of a hype thing? Like what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm like most guys to where I won't go repaint them. I applaud these guys that actually paint. Some of these guys that are painting baits are phenomenal. I mean, the baits will look great when they're new or used or whatever, and they send them in and they get them back in. And these guys can flat paint. It's no joke about it. But to me, I see why they're doing it, because it's a confidence thing that this bait is going to look the realest, matching whatever forage they have, whether it be carp or it be trout or, my favorite color, which not a lot of people get into, is baby bass. Baby bass gets flat bit. They eat themselves. So, but they're having the confidence to throw whatever color is matching the hatch that they're trying to get, know, and if it gives them that big of a boost to go out and spend a whole day or a month, like some that don't get bit, but still throwing every day, I applaud it. Do it. But to me, I will probably never repaint a bait unless it's completely flat broken and needs fixed. If it's the more beat up it is for me, the better I have, or the more confidence I have, because I just feel that fish looks injured or, it's not acting right, doesn't look right, and it just kind of triggers a bite.
Yeah.
Kind of my opinion, I guess.
Okay.
Is the prevailing strategy with swim baits to match the hatch, or you're just throwing big bait?
Well, I do it too. I think of it two ways. I always try and match the hatch for one, if I can. But then at the same rate, if it's something different coming into their water, their home, their territory, it's going to trigger them a little bit of curiosity. What's this thing? What is it? So a lot of guys will ask, hey man, should I throw a trout bait, or a trout color, or trout style bait in a pond or a lake that doesn't have trout? It just has bass. It's that. Yeah, throw that. Because to me, it sends the bass, when they see it, they're going, hey, this thing, I've never seen one of these before, and it piques their curiosity. But at the same rate, if you got a really pressured lake and these bass have kind of seen, because nowadays everyone and their mom kind of has a swim bait of some sort. And if you buy the standard ones at the store that everyone has, like out here in California, they've seen that thing many, many a time. So to match the hatch of what they're actually chewing on, it gives me a little bit more confidence, and I'll definitely try and match that. So if I go fish ponds, generally I'll throw a gill, some kind of bluegill, whether it be red ear or whatnot, coloration, but some kind of gill profile. The shape of it matches a gill or crappie. Crappie is probably my number one that I go with, but I try and match one of those and match them up.
Bucky, would you throw a fake crappie
to catch a bigger crappie or one of these bass?
Catch a bass.
Yes, I would. Heck yeah.
I know you're a crappie purist, so I didn't know.
No, I like to catch crappie, but
just he would throw it and he would catch a big bass. He just wouldn't use hashtag crappie fishing when he posted the pictures.
Yeah, I would use hashtag big bass.
There you go.
With crappie.
It's a new hashtag.
Yeah, crappies. The crappie color is a killer bite. It really is.
Nice.
A lot of people always try and match the bluegill, and they kind of forget about crappie. And crappie are everywhere. I mean, they're in almost every water we go to, especially around here.
And you said about baby bass color too. That's a color scheme that I'm starting to notice is working a little bit for me in some of the soft plastics I'm throwing.
That's my number one color.
But
anything baby bass, I'll throw it.
Nice. Now I have to clarify though my point, and it leads me into this next question. We mentioned Kitex earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider a 3 or 4 inch soft plastic paddle tail a swim bait?
That's a tough one. No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it kind of is technically by the standards. But but really, honestly, those are mainly honestly a trailer
the
bait.
Swimbait Federation sanctions.
Yeah.
They're a trailer bait, really. I mean, you can throw them on a lead head or a darter or something like that, but generally they're a trailer bait. Now, when you step up to the 6.8 and the 7.8, I mean, that's a hunk of plastic. I don't know if you guys have handled one of those, but that's a lot of plastic. It's a big bait.
Yeah, actually, I did buy a big pack of the 6 or 7 inch, 6 or 8 inch,
6.8.
Yeah.
They're big. I'm looking around the aisles trying to find a hook that would be appropriate for it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know from swim baits.
What do you think in there?
I don't know, bud. It's just a big long hook. But
go get a beast hook, either like a 10-aught beast hook.
How about like from Z-Man?
Oh, Z-Man.
Yeah. What about the Z-Man diesel minnows on a big VMC fisheye hook? Because that is a combination that has been working for me really well.
I mean, if it looks like I'm not particular exactly with that exact bait.
Yeah, we're trying to get you back to more regular fishing style stuff.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm
trying to relate.
I'm using swim baits. They're just little baby tiny ones.
Yeah.
I mean, if it, that the thing is though, is the size isn't always the cure all or whatever. It's not the big thing that makes it a swim bait or not.
Size doesn't matter.
Some days. Generally though.
So yours is like
a lot of us that have thrown for a while.
His is 200.
Yeah.
Generally, a lot of us that have thrown for a lot of years, you just kind of shy away from that. But I kind of push some guys to throw some of the smaller baits.
When you
the
do
3-4 inchers.
You're like, stop, put that down. Pick up this one.
Put that down.
Yeah.
Get bit, and then it'll give you the confidence to upsize.
Yeah. You're no good at that. Put this one on.
You're going to get hurt, kid.
You're going to lay that one over.
You're going to put your eye out with that thing.
I can see that. That Stevie smacks rods out of my hand every once in a while.
Yeah, he needs to.
But do you guys throw some big baits for muskie at all, or pike? I mean, I know some of them may not be swim baits, but bigger baits.
Glad you brought that up. We're gonna clear the water here for everyone.
Go on.
If we are bass fishing and just happen to catch a muskie, if it happens, it's not like we rarely target them. I wish that we had the fortitude to
the wherewithal,
the intestinal fortitude, and wherewithal to actually target them. And guys do, and they're amazing, and they have great pictures and stuff. We're not those guys.
We have
I just figured because I like I said, I've been out there one time, and my whole thought is going out east. I'm like, ooh, there's good fishing out here for northerns and muskie and everything else. That's just kind of the thought process from over here on the West Coast because we don't have them. So you start going back east, you think everyone has them right there.
Oh yeah, well that you can find stuff. That's if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. So we would, there's a guy for everything.
Yeah, Kyle goes out with their good buddy Derek Keller. He throws some pretty huge baits.
Yeah, he throws some big stuff for the muskie. But PA is also kind of weird. Like we're in a weird transition area for like muskie and northerns because like our our fish commission stocks a good amount of muskie in a lot of our waters, so that's where a bulk. So that's where a bulk of our actual muskie fishing comes from. Is our fish commission and local like muskies, like muskie chapters that actually stock them. So
like juvenile.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean it's great for the waterways, but we don't have like a huge thriving population across the state of either. So it does it makes it tough to actually like target them.
See, and I wondered about that, not to go off topic, but how they thrive in the water, if they dominate certain waterways. I'm just curious if they kind of take over or not, or how,
No, like that was a fear, I think, for a long time that would be, but I think the way we have enough waterways and things like that it just the bass compensate. Everybody compensates for each other, and we have some good fisheries. I don't know how else to say it. We have a lot of good fisheries, so they all live together in
peaceful harmony.
It's like a Disney movie.
Yeah. Now, in our minds, I'm sure if we honestly talked with Fish and Game or somebody, some biologists and stuff like that, that they could tell us a different story and how that goes down. But I mean, I've lived in Pennsylvania forever, and it's just I don't get to see the fluctuations in the muskie populations and the know this and that. I know that you talk to a guy who's been bass fishing for 30 years, they're going to tell you like 15 years ago it was like the best fishing of their lives.
Right.
Naturally.
And now we're hearing a lot about the snakehead, right? That's the thing that's going to make its way up the river eventually and decimate the smallmouth population. But I don't know that's really going to happen. That was the fear with the muskie, and the smallmouth is still thriving in the river.
Flatheads.
Flatheads, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
snakeheads seem like a bad deal.
No.
A lot of people are.
Yeah, some people.
Big
a lot of
into.
People,
they're in the snakehead camp for sure because it's a hard fighting fish, so they're fun to catch and they're apparently very delicious.
I've seen and I've heard a few guys saying that they are an absolute blast to go out and target, and especially like frog fishing and stuff. But
I was just going to say, if you like that top water, they're a fish for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's one thing. I'll be honest. The only conventional that I carry with me is a frog, because I don't care who you are. You cannot go out to the waters and not throw a frog if it's calling for it.
No way.
Can't pass up on that topwater bite.
Ryan's in your camp, no question.
Heck yeah.
I want to get talking a little bit about the your organization that you guys have, your Facebook group, and really just a wealth of information that we call the Swimbait Universe.
There's a ton on there. Yeah, we're just a group of guys like Wayne and Will had talked about. We got John and Chad that are on the East Coast, admins too. We got another John, he's down in Arizona, and then I'm up here in California. And all of us just like to throw big baits. It's what it comes down to. We all just kind of work together, and we all have the similar kind of goal and thought process, is just helping these new guys out. And, I know Wayne and Will, I'm sure, and everyone else that's on the page, everyone learns something new every day. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know majority of it, just because there's certain instances and stuff. And anyways, but you learn a lot on that page. And that's kind of what we're just going for is just have a good community of people that have a like mind of wanting to just throw big baits, targeting that one fish. And hey, I missed a fish, or I lost one. What can I do? Well, hey, change out your hooks. What rod are you using? And there's always the clowns. We got them. They're out there. It's never going to go away, right?
Right.
But in general, if you have a serious question on there, you're going to get some really, like I call them, big sticks that are going to step up and tell you some wealthy information that'll change your game. And then you usually, more often than not, within a month or two, if they listen to these people, they come back and they're holding up their PB. Yeah. And it's like, hey, there we are. That's the goal, is everyone to get a PB.
I love it. I think that we had Wayne and Will in the studio, and they brought this, like, they each brought like 3 bags of each of just stacks and stacks of lures, and we got to go through all that, and it's just a different world, and I can't believe what you guys pull, the numbers that you guys pull, the community that you have is I'm jealous. It's wonderful.
In fact, isn't there a big like East Coast meetup going down here?
I was going to mention that. We and of course I don't have the exact date on the top of my head, but Wayne's putting together, because one of the first actual swim bait only meetups, not like a fishing convention or any of that. It was this guy Caesar out here on the West Coast, and he owns it's called Toxic Baits. He put together a little get together, kind of just a West Coast thing, shot it out there, and just wanted to do more or less a customer thank you, because he was able to quit his job and just make baits and do what he loves, fish. Wow, and so, yeah, I mean, the dude's killing it, by the way, too. Toxic Baits. If you guys, anyone listening, look up Toxic Baits. They're hard to get, but you will not be disappointed.
Cool.
He threw together just a toxic bait day. He called it Toxic Day. And we had guys from out there on the East Coast flying out for this. I mean, guys driving from Nevada and Vegas coming all the way out to Sacramento just to come out to the Delta for this one event. There was kind of just a single day event, and it turned into a full blown event. I mean, there were so many people that showed up, and it was really cool to get to meet the people that you talk to on a consistent basis, you know, online, in person. And then, you know, everyone had a good time. Well, you had another event just recently I went down to, had a blast. It was a good one. It was actually the shootout on the Delta from BABC, and he kind of tied in with him and had a good full weekend event. And so we were talking, and got to have something on the East Coast for all those guys. There's a ton of guys on the East Coast that throw baits and throughout the Midwest. And so Wayne's putting this one on his shoulders. I applaud the guy. That's a lot, but they got a lot of guys helping.
Those are big
Wayne
shoulders too.
Yeah, he's got that.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty big dude, I'd say. But yeah, he's putting that on. I wish I had I should have wrote it down in front of me, but I don't have all the information. I'll send it over to you guys or whatnot. But
sure.
Yeah, he's putting on. It's called Swimbait Universe, The Gathering. So
nice.
Anyone listening, go to Swimbait Universe, answer all the questions. We'll get you in, and you'll be able to see the full event details. Or we have a business page anyone can see. So if you pull up the Swimbait Universe business page, the gathering will be on there, and you can see the date and times and exactly everything. They're gonna have the next day. I want to say it's on a Saturday, from like 1 to 5. And then Sunday, anyone that wants to get in on a swim-bait only fishing tournament, there's a nearby lake, and they're going to put on a swim-bait only tournament. So be a good one to get into if anyone's around.
Boone, I was able to find it. It's actually Saturday, October 12th.
There it is.
At 12 p.m. in Toano, Virginia.
Down in Virginia, yep.
The Gathering.
Nice.
It's going to be good. I mean, you
try to keep Stevie away from that.
Yeah.
You try.
I tell you, if you guys made it down, it would open your eyes at the community that we got going.
Yeah.
I mean, the swim bait community as a whole is a lot bigger than a lot of people think.
No, I believe it.
I'm starting to see it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And everybody we've met and talked to have been, wonderful people too. So that's good.
Can we talk about what's new besides the gathering? Is there anything else that's new for Swimbait Universe?
I'm putting on monthly tournaments. So I got one that's ending here on the 4th of August, and I try and do a new fishing online tournament that we set up, and generally probably 98% of the time they're all free. So we get the bait makers to throw in a bait. It helps promote them, and it helps us and the community and everyone coming through, and they throw in a bait, and then I set up an online tourney and run that. Usually lately I've been doing where you got 2 fish and it's a length tournament, but other than that, the gathering's kind of the big thing right now. Trying to figure out a little better on the retail for clothes and that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of guys that want hats and sun shirts, and Wayne just came through with some killer sun shirts, by the way. Those things are nice and comfortable.
Are those like crop tops? You're saying sun shirts? Are you SPF?
Yeah, you
Not tank top.
You cut the bottom off so your belly button sticks out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can. I mean, if that's your style.
Like we did back in the day.
Love belly shirts.
You have to cut your hair in a mullet first, and then you got to get some aviators, and everything will be fine.
They call that a Missouri waterfall.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a glorious look, boys.
But
yeah.
That's cool. That's the first I heard about your tournaments. That's really cool. Well, anything else that you got on the docket that you're looking to put out there?
Get launched here, maybe.
The other new thing is I'm going to be starting up a podcast.
What?
Say what?
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
So I'm one of the guys that at my work where I work, I drive a haul truck. So I listen to either radio or podcasts all day, 8 to 10 hours a day. And there's not a dedicated bass fishing or straight big bait channel. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, that's all I do is talk about big baits and fishing. So
that's cool though, because you're in the pod world enough as a listener, and you realize that there's a market there that isn't represented, so you're going to be the one to step up and fill that void. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm jumping in with both feet on it, but it's going to be fun. I think I got being an admin, I have a little bit of access to a lot of the bait makers because I kind of talk to them all, and some of the rod makers and stuff like that are people that are influential on our page or in the swim bait world, period. And so it'll be interesting to get some of these guys on.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. That's a total leg up. You're going to have a lot of fun. There's a ton of content in that arena. You're not going to get bored. Obviously, you love it. It's. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your stuff. I can't wait. If there's anything that we can do for you, you please let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, I will. You guys are going to have to be a part of it somehow. I'll have to get you guys on once I get it up and running.
Hook us up on the small fish month or whatever you're doing.
When I'm talking about the micro baits.
Yeah, you're talking about food for your fish.
Fairy stick month.
Well, we'll have to get you. I don't know. Well, maybe I'll make a special with fairy one. I'll bring the wife on, and you guys can join. But
gotcha.
Yeah, we'll have to get you guys some big baits and then get you on and see what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, we don't do so bad. We got a couple fisheries where we can get on some bigger fish, and we're definitely. We're not always targeting those bigger fish, but we're really blessed to have opportunities to get on some bigger, 5-pounders, 4-pounders, and
those, as far as I know, out there are like some pretty decent fish too, though.
Yeah, and we actually have. What's the biggest one this year? Was it 8 pounds? I think.
Nice.
Catfish. Yeah, caught an 8-pounder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have caught a bigger one, but he doesn't always tell me every fish he catches.
Yeah, you guys need to get down with Bug Wayne.
Yeah, well,
take me out, guys. Show me your wisdom.
We seriously threaten that bi-monthly, and it just
pretty regularly.
We can't get it.
Stay on him. Stay on him. That's all I can say.
It's our fault as much as it is his. Literally.
Yeah. I know how that goes, though.
Last weekend he was busy at Kids Bop, but he said it was a great job to have, and that was great to see. But I still have to tease Wayne about going to Kids Bop.
Oh yeah,
I just want to see the people that looked over and went, "This man's here."
Yeah.
And he's singing along.
I want to see the reaction of the crowd when he starts walking through and pushing kids around, so his kid can get up front.
Yeah, it's a mosh pit for kids.
It's good stuff. So, Boone, we're actually at the point of the show here.
Hey.
Bucky, you take it easy now. Sit back down.
Yeah. Sit back down.
Short drifting.
We like to wrap the show here at the end with the guest with the section that we call the Fast Five. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table and we're going to ask you a series of questions. First answer that comes to your mind, just rattle it off. There are no wrong answers.
But we'll tell you if you are.
Sure. Of course we will.
Naturally. I'll do my best.
So I'll go ahead and get things kicked off here. So question number 1, what's one thing that you can't live without in the outdoors? I think I might know the answer here, but surprise me. Let's see what you got.
If it's going to be in the outdoors, I mean, honestly, fishing would be my number one, so a fish pole or something. But I don't know. That's a hard one. Live without the outdoors. I'd have to have either my fishing rod or my bow, honestly.
Ooh.
Nice.
Good answer.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's got to be probably Step Brothers. It's just a classic.
Nice.
Oh, can't go wrong with comedy.
Not at all.
Yeah. Especially with those two.
I used to throw big swim baits with the Johnny Hopkins.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Nice.
Love it.
One thing you do daily to prepare for your outdoor lifestyle.
Make sure that the wife and family are happy. I'm not going to lie about that one.
Yeah,
if they are all well and set, I can pretty much go fishing when I want.
Happy wife, happy life.
That is it. I take care of the wife and the 3 girls, and
you forgot one. You're going to get it.
Well, she's only 5 months old, so she's still with mama like majority of the time, other than me holding her and stuff. I can't do too much for her, but
well, you're lucky.
Yeah, the other my 7 and almost 4-year-old, those things are little terrors. I got to take care of them.
Yeah, but the 5-month-old is a pretty big fan, so she's gonna hear this and be a little disappointed.
Mm-hmm, that's what I was thinking.
So you're up, y'all? Really, Dad? Really?
You're not the only one listening to podcasts in that family.
Nope. What's on your bucket list, Boone?
There's a few things. If it's fishing wise, I want to go down and catch some giant peacock. That's just kind of one of my biggest.
How far
things.
down? You Florida down or actually
the Amazon.
Even bigger?
No, Amazon. I want to go full giant where they ain't seeing nothing else. Well, that's kind of my fishing bucket list. Is peacock bass.
When people bring this up, we always say, we're coming with you because that's awesome.
Yeah. I'll send the invite whenever it does happen for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not go down there without us knowing.
Yeah, if it's not fishing, my other on my bucket list, honestly, is me and my brother, lives out in Nebraska, Brandon, is me and him going on an elk hunt. We've talked about it for a lot of years now, just haven't made it happen, but it's a hike into the backcountry where no one goes, kind of somewhere, not full of people, but go hike in and do a good elk hunt and be successful, obviously. But archery.
I heard you have a bow.
Yeah, archery.
Would you use a bow?
Yeah, full archery. Me and him just hiking in.
Spot and stuff.
We've looked at a few places and tried to get it going, but with kids and life and jobs and everything else, it makes it really hard to make it happen. So that's one thing. That's one thing that's on the list that's going to happen before the clock done ticking.
All right, Boone. Then so question number 5 to wrap it up. What makes you happy?
I love this one.
What 2 things in life make me happy? Being with my wife and my kids and going out and fishing. Just literally being on the water, especially on a first thing in the morning. You got a little bit of fog on the water and the sun's just barely coming up.
Sounds like a novel.
That's my happy zen place.
It's really hard to beat that.
It's and having other people in the boat that are loud and stuff kind of bugs it, but that's why I like to kayak sometimes and just get out and just be one with nature, so to say. Just
nice.
One on the water.
Love it.
Boone, you have a man's name and you do a lot of manly activities.
Yeah, you do.
It's Daniel Boone, by the way.
Yeah, it's named after that guy.
Legitimately Daniel Boone.
That is beyond that.
And no, it's not after actual Daniel Boone. It was my grandpa and my dad's best friend, but yeah, it just so happened.
No,
probably the only Daniel Boone you guys will meet or talk to.
I am now. Yeah. That's incredible. I'm gonna put that cross it off my bucket list.
There you go. That one's done.
Daniel Boone.
One and done.
Nice.
The one and only.
Thank you very much, of course, for your time. But before we let you go, just remind everybody, we've talked a lot about Swimbait Universe, and I'm sure everybody can jump on all the social medias to find those. But how can people follow you and keep up with what's going on in your world?
With me, you can go on. I'm just Boone Jancik on Facebook. You can find me on the Swimbait Universe. Obviously, if you go on there, I'll just say this, answer all the questions, get you in. And then on Instagram, NorCal Bass Hunter. And that's generally on Instagram is where I put a lot of all my fish catches and my kind of outdoor stuff and what I'm doing. Facebook, I kind of keep it family. But, find me on Instagram. I don't really have the YouTube going, but keep an ear out for the podcast. Got the podcast coming.
You said it pretty quickly. So your last name, Jancik. Can we spell
Jancik? Jancik.
Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect. Now, Boone, stay on the line if you would. We're gonna wrap up the show, but before we do, we want to send you off with some spices from Charlie Moore.
Mr. Charlie Moore.
Mad fisherman.
The mad fisherman himself.
Smacking the smallies and the Larrys.
Yeah, he has a spice line.
Guys.
Yeah, he has a spice line, Mad Fish Spices, and you can go to shopmadfish.com and pick up those if you're looking for it for yourself.
But we'll go ahead and send Boone a whack of them, huh?
Yeah, we'll give him a 4-pack, and just so you know, they're made from the best spices on earth. No offense.
Huh?
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Boone. Thank you so much for your time, bud.
Yeah, thanks again, Boone.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it and had fun. We have to do it again.
Heck yeah. So, guys, don't forget, this month's episode was also brought to you in part by Scared Fishless Tackle Company.
Scared Fishless.
Make sure you head on over to scaredfishless.com. Check out everything they've got going on, from their 6-inch diamondback worm.
Love that diamondback worm.
All the way to the fatty boom batty, Bucky.
Whoa.
That's right. Hey, check out all the cool colors that they've got too, but guess what?
What?
They also do custom colors. You got a color you love? Send them a sample. They'll match it as best they can. Get over to scaredfishless.com. Check it out, guys.
And you can rig them weedless.
Well, what do you think, boys? We took it to Cali, and now we're back.
And we are back.
That's right.
I think we did that some.
Heck yeah, bud.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Did good.
I feel
learned a lot.
Poor
grossly,
Stevie.
yeah, I feel grossly
Stevie.
inadequate when I have these guys on. It's my own insecurities. I'm not projecting. I'm owning it here.
Yeah. That's all right, bud. We understand.
They definitely have some big baits, and they catch some big fish.
Yeah, they do.
So check out their pictures and spend
It's
a
no
little
joke.
time, scrolling in the Swimbait
Yeah,
Universe.
jump around Swimbait Universe. You'll see how big some of them fishes get.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And you'll pick up a tip or two along the way.
All right, boys. Hey, Bucky,
Yeah, Ryan.
where can folks find us?
Ryan, you can find us at RuttenRiverPursuits.com on the internet.
Nice.
And if you're on the socials, it's Rutten River Pursuits. And on YouTube, you can find us at Rutten River Pursuits Podcast.
Yeah, check out them YouTubes.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we're ramping it up like we've said before. These vids,
You're knocking out of the park,
yeah,
Buck.
I know. I'm having a good time.
Loving
Learning
it.
a lot, and maybe we'll do a little bit more than 30 to 60 seconds.
Keep them ears open.
Some point.
Oh, yeah. And your eyes.
That's right. Good show, boys. See y'all soon.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Rig 'em weedless.
Makeup. Fluffer.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking. You got something running around with a mouthful of teeth, not knowing even how many more are around you.
I wear
Not that I.
And they're aggressive too. Freshwater barracuda.
Gentle giants, I like to call them.
I wear a cup whenever I go.
Just in case.
That's safe precautions right there.
A thick cod piece, if you will.
It's for cod.
For cod, yes.
Yeah. Put that down. Pick up this one.
Put that down.
Yeah.
Get bit, and then it'll give you the confidence to upsize.
Yeah. You're no good at that. Put this one on.
You're going to get hurt, kid.
You lay that one over.
You're gonna put your eye out with that thing. Oh yeah, well you can. I mean, if that's your style,
Like we
by all
did back
means.
in the day.
Love belly
Yeah.
shirts.
You have to cut your hair in a mullet first, and then you got to get some aviators, and
Yeah.
everything will be fine.
They call that a Missouri waterfall.
Stop. Stop it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a glorious look, boys.
But
Yeah.
That made me chuckle.